these are the basic rules with regard to indices that we've had a look at. You should be familiar with those. You should be able to do questions relating to those. But I'm going to pose to you a little bit of a question. We've said here when the power applied is 0, so anything to the power of 0 is 1. 1 to the power of 0 is 1. We said that. But what happens if you were to have 0 to the power of 0? What would that be? What is 0 to the power of 0? Any ideas? So let's investigate that. I'm going to get you to do something with your calculators. This is what we're looking at, 0 to the power of 0. What's it going to equal? I want you to try with your calculator and work out these. 1 to the power of 1. What does that equal? 0.9 to the power of 0.9. What does that equal? 0.8 to the power of 0.8. What does that equal? 0.7 to the power of 0.7. What does that equal? You will need your calculator to work these out. So have a little go at those, get those results, write them down as I've done in columns, and have a look at what is happening. Pause the video while you're doing that and then come back and we'll discuss it further. Okay, 1 to the power of 1. .9 to the power of 0.9, and I'm going to do it to 3 decimal places here. 0.8 to the power of 0.8. 0.7 to the power of 0.7. What's happening each time? That you can see quite clearly we're going down in value each time. But it is starting to slow up. Quite a big difference between these two numbers. Still a big difference, but getting smaller between these two numbers, and then the difference is coming down each time. So let's go on. Try 0.6 to the power of 0.6. 0.5 to the power of 0.5. Try these with your calculator and see what's happening. 0.4 to the power of 0.4. So work those out to your calculator, 3 decimal places again, and let's see where that takes us. 0.736, 0.707, definitely slowing down that difference. 0.693, now it's very, very minimal difference between each of these numbers. So let's go on. .3 to the power of 0.3. 0.4 to the power, oh, no, cancel that one. 0.2 to the power of 0.2. Then 0.1 to the power of 0.1. Work out those three values and let's see what's happening. Again, it's 3 decimal places. Oh change, aren't we? That's not the end of your lesson. Won't be much longer, but it's not the end of your lesson yet. Something's starting to happen now, isn't it? We've been coming down in value. Now what's happening? We're starting to turn. We're coming up in value again. So, let's have a look for a few more. I'm going to go 0.05 to the power of 0.05. Let's do 0.02 to the power of 0.02. What's happening to those values? Try them on your calculator. Here we go, write those into 3 decimal places. We're definitely coming up in value here, aren't we? What are we getting close to? What are we getting close to, ladies and gents? As we're going smaller and smaller in our values here, what are we getting close to? We're getting close to 1 over here. What are we getting closer to here? We're getting closer to 0, arguably. So I'm going to flick onto a new page now. Look what's happening. As these values get smaller and smaller, okay, this value is getting closer and closer to 1. So, our conclusion from that is, as far as you are concerned, 0 to the power of 0 is going to be 1. And that's the proof of that, ladies and gents. We're just taking you through that. We've tried it for ourselves. We've shown how from 1 to the power of 1, which is obviously 1, will come down in value, but then we started going back up and we got to the position where we can pretty well say here that as these numbers get smaller and smaller and smaller, they're going to bring this value closer and closer and closer to 1. And you can keep trying that with your calculator just to prove yourself. How far have you got to go with these figures before your calculator actually gives you an answer of 1? How many zeros have you got to put in before your calculator is going to give you that result? You actually find it's not too far, ladies and gents. So that's just an interesting little aside to do with powers and indices. I hope you found that interesting, I hope you found that useful, and thank you very much for your attention.